Welcome back, everyone. It was great to have Charles, and the subject that he has brought up and the whole idea of tantric is not for everybody, but truly it fits into a whole new paradigm of spirituality, if you think about it, and especially what I told you earlier, what Kryon has said about intimate relations between light workers being one of the most profound spiritual attributes we can experience. And so it fits right in with everything Kryon has said as well. And we welcome Charles to the show, and it was nice to have him.
Yeah, and I really like that phrase of the art of conscious loving.
Yes.
That's also Pleiadian Star Mother energy.
It truly is. It truly is.
Yeah.
All right.
So we should do the Circle of 12.
Let's do it.
And as we enter or prepare to enter the Circle of 12, I'm going to ask some questions for you to ponder in preparation for our Circle of 12 meditation. And my first question to you: is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? And the next question for us to ponder: is there something I am to remember from my Akash? Is there something to remember from my Akash? Is there something I am to remember from my Akash? And the last question is: what can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? Let us make a statement of intent that I am willing to receive the answers to my questions, and I give permission to my soul and the Creator to reveal them in a way that I can understand. I am ready, dear Kryon, to come a little closer.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. Each time we come before you in this meditation, we are truly aware that we are what they call pushing the envelope of reality for many. We are also aware that there are a lot of you that come along because this is feeling good. And perhaps you're not fully participating or aware of all of the things that we wish to push towards you that are the new tools and the beauty of who you are and the discovery. And that you're not really truly aware of all of that yet, but it feels good. Indeed, it should. All of the things that we teach, and even from the beginning, all of the things that we have presented should somehow ring with truth. Not only ring with truth, but to those who are open, it should feel correct. Sometimes we'll get comments from those who will say, well, I want to feel good, but somehow it doesn't. And if you start looking at that and examining that, dear ones, suddenly you find out that there are others involved, not just you. And that seems to be a battle you have from those who have told you one thing that is starting to fight with that which you start to realize for yourself. In other words, what I'm saying is there are still so many people on this planet invested in having you not here. These things that we give you are natural, beautiful, and they represent a core truth that is not necessarily what is believed by most on the planet. And so it is truly seeming to be avant-garde. It seems to be perhaps the cutting edge of strangeness to some. What if instead it's a marvelous, profound truth that has been laying with you and perhaps in your Akash for a very long time, and that's what attracts you here. There are some who say, well, coming here is a dangerous thing because Kryon will lead you to that place which is proprietary to something Kryon wants you to see and do, and will take you right out of that which you're trained to believe, perhaps in a doctrine. And what we have said to this is use your intuition. Do not come this way unless you wish. What we are offering does not go against your doctrine, dear ones. It enhances the love of God. And if that's not in the doctrine, then perhaps you ought to look at another doctrine. All those doctrines on the planet which talk about the beauty of the Creator, the love that is there, all of those doctrines, this enhances all of them. It may go against that which you've been told you are permitted to do. But that has to feel right for you as well. These things must feel correct. That takes what we will call the beginning of an awakening intuitive sense. I want to tell you something about those who are listening, something that I know about all of you. There are various shades of old souls who are watching and listening to this right now. And what I mean by that is that old souls who have graduated through many, many, many lifetimes, there is a layer of perhaps those who have had over 100 or maybe even over 1,000 or maybe over 50. So you might say in a school of learning, there are many grades of those old souls who would come here and listen. But almost all of you have something in common. An old soul who has been through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and ends up on the planet right now. That particular old soul, that personality of either gender, often has an attribute. And the attribute is that perhaps you've been a little bit of a black sheep. That is to say that maybe you didn't simply do as you were told. In other words, many seekers are listening. Those who wanted to go a little outside of the box and find out what else might be there. Or perhaps the training that you got in those places where they give you the doctrines didn't ring totally, completely correct. We have said this before. We are not here to be anti-church. We're here to enhance the beauty and the glory of the creative source. This means that a grander truth is going to enhance you. What if there was a lot more than has ever been given to you in any of these lifetimes except for perhaps the very first ones? Could it be that inside you, hiding, are things that have been implanted there, implanted in a way that is not harmful, implanted just as perhaps you would serve food, but hiding in the food there was some kind of a release of flavor that happened later. Something that the cook perhaps built in as a surprise. It says, I'm going to give you this meal, but wait, savor it, because something is coming. And then you eat the meal and you're about done, and suddenly On it comes, and that is a super release of flavor and beauty. And you go, this was the best meal I've ever had because of that way, somehow that release worked. This is what's going on right now on this planet. And it's not just for old souls. There are levels of release of Akashic truth happening on the planet. Not just old souls, but there are implantations of a higher consciousness in almost all humanity. And what I mean by that is the aha experience that so many are starting to have that are not old souls, that would lead them into perhaps a higher vibration of integrity or transparency, or those who would look at the situation and say, this isn't right. Let's fix it. They're new, you might say, in that attitude because it wasn't here 20 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It doesn't mean they're old souls. It means they're feeling a release as well. And you might ask them as a group, why now? And they say, we're feeling something. That's elementary. And it's starting to happen on this planet more and more. Elementary awakening of a higher consciousness, more honesty, more transparency, more benevolence. These are basics. But the old soul, you are awakening to implantations that you've had of a grander truth. What about the one we talk about, the ability to work with your soul? Those are blasphemous words to so many who would tell you, stay away from Kryon because he's dabbling in things that he should not dabble in. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't do that, they might say. Not understanding that you were brought here for this. Humanity, it's time, humanity, for you to learn the rest of the story. The rest of the story is that you were born magnificent. You have gifts and tools that some of the shamanics have shown you and the masters taught you. And because they're so grand, you don't think actually they belong to you. They belong to the special ones, you'd say. They belong to the saints, you might say. Only those who have done a miracle or two can be the saints, you might say. That's who they belong to. Not understanding that all of the teachings of the masters said that humanity has this ability if they vibrate high enough. That's been the message always. Perhaps you're here for a healing. What does that mean to you? Perhaps you're waiting for someone to come along and perform the healing. Is that truly why you're here? Do you think that that's truly how it works? What you've been taught all of these years, is go find the professional who will help you. Very, very few have said go inside and find the magnificence you came with and cure yourself. And that's what we are teaching. The Circle of 12 requires that you come along for a ride if you wish. And if you do, you will cross a bridge. It is indeed a metaphor. It all is. It's a visualization if you choose to see it. So many of you have crossed a bridge, so it's not that difficult. We talk about this bridge right now. I'm going to ask you to cross it because today we're going to do something even a little different, and this time perhaps a little more mature than some of the other times. The known is how you live today. The 4 dimensions you live in, well known to you, not scary. You get up and you work with things in the senses and the 4 dimensions that you have, and you're happy with all of them. You understand all of them. You put one foot in front of another, things are linear, things work the same every single day, and suddenly we tell you that when you cross the bridge, they don't. Crossing the bridge is going to an unknown place, which is a multi-dimensional place. A multi-dimensional place where counting actually is not possible, where time seems to float around. It's the stuff that's made of dreams, or you might say the dreams are made with this. It doesn't follow the linearity of your day-by-day life. There are things on the other side of the bridge that are totally and completely yours. You just haven't figured them all out yet. It's like going and finding many, many boxes, and somehow you realize, I've packed them all. That's my handwriting. I've used that wrapping paper. I used to make bows like that. Or you say, that's my favorite way of wrapping. I used to make corners like that all the time as a kid. And you recognize at some level that every single package you have wrapped, but you don't know what's in any of them. And then you start realizing some of them are not in the right place. Some of them are floating. That's not possible in your reality. And then you start opening them. And you say, oh my, where did that come from? I've been waiting for that for so long. I remember this. At some level, I remember this gift and this tool. Oh, it's so good to see you again. It's like an old photograph that is so meaningful to you that you might say, I remember this. These were the days. That is a metaphor. And it's a metaphor for revealed truth. That is what's in your soul. Come with me right now. Let's cross that bridge right now. Come with me. You go to this area with all of these packages, and you see there's so much here I never saw before. Those of you who have done this with us over and over, for all of these episodes, may see things you never did before, or be aware of things that you've never seen or done because of this place starting to be more familiar to you. Let's go to that theater right now. There is more than a theater here. But this particular meditation in the Circle of 12 is specifically about this theater. A theater in the round with a sunken stage. A chair that you haven't figured out truly yet. A chair, when you sit in it, you face one direction, and yet I've told you it faces all directions. How can you look in all the directions at the same time? And the answer is yes. Because it is a multidimensional place, these things are simply there and happening. Let's go there. When you're here in this place, it is you. Oh, if I could tell you, it drips with the integrity of truth about you. Where there is no beginning and no end, that soul is you. It has always been here, it always will be, and you are temporarily on this planet visiting this permanent place yet again. A permanent temple, you might say, yet again. Always there, always will be, a part of the Creator you are. And you come from this planet, and you come here in this form that you are right now in order to revisit a core truth of you. Let's sit in that chair. I want you to go down into that audience and back up to that platform, which is the stage, where there are all of the lights. We're always here in this Circle of 12, and I want you to sit in the chair for a moment. Go ahead, sit down. Again, the audience fills up. You cannot see who is there. And you're used to some kind of specific interaction. But there are those who said, when do we have time to just sit without a purpose, without a lesson, and just be? This is a meditation. So today we're going to just be. Only in the just being, there are questions that you may ask yourself. And as you do, your intuition are the feelers, where the audience will start answering them, not verbally, but with the wisdom of the ages. You will see and feel and be aware of answers as they come flowing in, as you sit there in total and complete silence, except for the music that you hear playing right now, which is the music of the circle. It is the beauty of the healing that can be yours. The questions ask you before we started in meditation. I want you to think for a moment, sit in the chair, why am I here? And I want you to hear the answers to every single question you're going to ask from this audience, from the ages, from these ages of the past, including your own past life, who know the answers. Every single question right now. Some of you come with a question perhaps that so many ask, why me? Why me? And there is a beautiful answer, so that you can go beyond the why me, so you can get out of yourself, so you can move on to something and live a grand life. Is there a reason for my being here? Go ahead, ask it. What is the purpose of my life? Go ahead and just sit there. And when you're in your soul energy and this audience is around you, dear ones, they have answers. And these answers are not three-dimensional answers. You might ask, why do I have this disease? And some will float to you, and immediately you'll get it, and you'll hear an answer, because of your magnificence. And that won't make sense until later. And you'll start to understand you are known by the universe. You're known by those from the ages. You're known by all of those who have core truth and want to speak to you now in a very silent and gentle and quiet way while you simply sit and ask questions. But I'll tell you, every moment you sit in the chair, there is a healing energy starting to buzz with you, because you are getting answers from the other side of the veil. And this is where it happens. Answers from the other side of the veil, just for you, specific answers. What shall I do next? And the intuition starts buzzing. This is where you get the answers. Intuition meets the logic and the reality of who you are. I want you to stay here quietly and ask whatever you wish, and sit. At the same time, the healing energy is here, because that's why you're here. To leave this place differently than you came, but knowing this place was one of the most real places you'll ever visit, because it's permanent. It's permanent. And so it is.